Yo, what up? We've got back-to-back videos this time because Blizzard decided to drop a director's take yesterday, giving us a lot more details on upcoming nerfs as well as the Roadhog rework. So that's some pretty cool and important information to talk about. I'm assuming a lot of people probably would have seen another creator's videos on this stuff yesterday, so I'll be focusing more on my own personal takes and what I think they could be doing and just speculating on the changes while we go over them. So starting with the biggest thing first, we have some exciting new news on Roadhog's rework that is coming to Overwatch 2. It is being delayed. But don't worry, because we're still getting it in Season 7, and we now know a little bit about what it will include. So what do we know right now about the Roadhog rework? Well, they are completely changing his primary fire, they are giving some changes to take a breather, and they are adding an all-new ability to him. And then in their own words, based on quite a few last-minute tweaks to the kit, he won't make our mid-season patch, but instead will be coming later in the season. Now for the big thing, which is his new ability, it's very likely that this ability will be replacing his hook. As they said, they're completely reworking his primary fire. So if his primary fire is no longer a close-range shotgun blast, I don't see any reason for him to have his old hook in the game because it just wouldn't combo together. So his all-new ability is probably going to be something brand new that's going to work together with his new primary fire. And in all honesty, it's probably going to involve hook again. It's probably just going to be a completely different kind of hook, because I don't think you could remove Roadhog's hook from Roadhog and still say that the character is Roadhog. Roadhog and his hook are probably the most iconic duo of Overwatch heroes and their abilities in the game. Removing hook would be like removing Guardian Angel from Mercy and trying to say that it's still Mercy. So the new ability most likely is going to be a new take on chain hook that will work with his primary fire. Now we have no information at all about what the new primary fire could be, but I think it would be kind of cool if it was something like a cannonball. Team Fortress 2 had a weapon for the demo man called the loose cannon. It was a side grade of the regular grenade launcher that he had, and how it worked is that firing it would fire out a cannonball that would knock players back if it hit them and also explode after a short distance traveled. And with this weapon, you could also hold down left click to burn the fuse on the cannonball so that it would explode sooner after you fire it. With the whole gimmick here being that you wanted to time it so that the cannonball would hit the player and then the explosion would trigger soon afterwards, and doing so would make the explosion deal increased damage. I feel like Roadhog could get something very similar, where instead of wanting people to be, you know, up close range to him, he's going to want them to be more at a medium range, because he's still going to have his secondary fire, I'm assuming at least, because they don't mention it, meaning that's still going to be the delayed shotgun blast. So Roadhog could be this kind of space manipulating hero where instead of wanting people to be in close range of him, he wants them to be at like more of a medium range, where he's probably going to have a new version of hook that instead of drawing people directly in front of him, will place them a medium distance away from him so that they're in a good range for him to follow up with the secondary fire. And then his primary will be something that can, you know, knock players back to put them into range of that secondary fire as well. So he's going to, you know, knock people back who are too close, pull people in a bit who are too far, and just be this kind of tank that manipulates all of the space in front of him and where people stand in it. It could be very annoying, but it could also be very fun depending on how they balance it. Just some food to thought on what they might be able to do with Roadhog and kind of keep his hero identity in check. I do think it would also be interesting if they did something like the loose cannon, considering that Junkrat is kind of very inspired by the demo man from Team Fortress 2. So giving Roadhog a new primary that is also inspired by one of the demo man's weapons would be kind of a cool thing. Next, going into some of the spiciest opinions I'm going to drop during this video, we have So the next part of the developer update talks about supports, their rising power level, and a series of changes that they're going to be making in the mid-season patch targeting the utility that supports have in trying to open up windows of vulnerability. Now, I think that with the current state of supports in Overwatch 2, that a lot of people have kind of blown things up in a major way. I do not think they're that much of a problem. I think that there's a lot that people get wrong about them, but I am very open to changing the game because I want the game to be in a fun state that is unique. The last thing I would want for Overwatch 2 is for it to get stale. I'm fine with having complete overhauls to characters if Blizzard is at least going to walk back on those changes if they make the game horrible to play. And they have shown to do that before. The May rework they did that completely failed. They walked back on it and reverted it to how she was before in a couple seasons. So I'm fine with them nerfing supports as long as if it turns out that it makes the game horrible to play for supports, they're willing to go back to the drawing board and revert them back to how they were before. Now, there's a lot of complaints I have about supports and balance and the power level of different roles in the game, but that would be an entirely different video I'll make in the future, so please subscribe if you're interested in seeing that dumpster fire unfold, because that will really have the spicy opinions that a lot of people on the internet want for drama and such, so please subscribe if you want to see that happen in the future. Might not be the next video, might not be for a few of them, but it will happen at some point inevitably because I do primarily play support. But I also play other roles, and that's why I'm fine if they do just make supports really bad for a season, because I can just go play other roles, play other heroes that aren't as impacted by the change, etc. So they've hinted that it's going to be some major changes to the support role as a whole, and if they really want to impact the things that people are complaining about, where it feels like heroes like Baptiste are borderline unkillable, as you know, other content creators' videos on the news that I have seen today, I think there's one change that they should do that would address a lot of these problems while not impacting supports' abilities to, you know, support their own team. And that is that supports should no longer be impacted by their own utility. This means that Baptiste would no longer get immortality from Lamp, Kiriko would no longer get invulnerability from Suzu, Illari could no longer be healed by her own pylon, maybe not, maybe that's a bit too far, who knows, but other changes like that. This way you're not going to have some global change that will just completely screw over supports like Zenyatta, who are already in a very horrible position right now, and it will be a universal change that will impact a lot of the supports that people tend to complain about, you know, Baptiste, Kiriko, Ana could no longer be healed by her own nade, etc. Now, this would most certainly address the problems a lot of people have with a lot of support characters feeling like they're impossible to kill, while not just straight up nerfing their ability to, you know, support their teams. So I think it would be fun to see what would happen if they did this. Again, I yearn for chaos, and I think that this will have a lot of people very opinionated on the results of what these changes would bring. Like, if we get a meta where Moira and Lifeweaver are the top picks because of it, I'm all for that. Give me the Slay E-Girl season, please. But yeah, I know for Baptiste in particular, people complain about regenerative burst, but I mean, I think Baptiste could maybe keep regenerative burst. I don't think you'd have to remove that from him. Same way that, you know, Brig could still get healed by Just Inspire, and Lucio could still get some healing from being healed by his heal aura. Because, I mean, Soldier 76 has his biotic field, which is just better than regenerative burst in basically every single way, almost. It heals for more. It doesn't require him to be below 50% health to get the maximum amount of value out of it. Even if Baptiste does get the maximum amount of value out of regen burst, Soldier 76 biotic field still clears it easily. But yeah, my opinion on what they should do to address people's problems with supports: just make their own utility no longer affect them. Now for the next topic, we have some very strange Overwatch collaboration. Yeah, they're bringing K-pop into Overwatch, and I'm excited to see what it ends up being because we don't really have that much news about it. What we do know, it is going to be a collaboration with K-pop sensation. I'm not even going to try and pronounce this name. I know I'm not going to be able to do it justice. But the collab will feature exclusive in-game items, legendary hero skins, and an entire game mode inspired by the K-pop group themselves. Which is kind of weird to think about, because how do you do a K-pop inspired game mode in Overwatch? Is it just going to be a rhythm game? Are we going to have, you know, the little Dance Dance Revolution machines in Busan, but have it be a full game mode where everybody gets their own machine and they compete against each other? That might be pretty fun. But yeah, I'm kind of excited for what this will be because it just seems very interesting. And if the skins are anything like, you know, the KDA stuff from League of Legends, I feel like they'll probably go pretty hard and be some pretty popular skins. So yeah, I'm excited to see exactly what this ends up being. Pretty interesting collaboration. And then for our last little section, we're going to have So the first thing to close this off with would be other balance changes to heroes. They talked a bit about Sombra and how her rework affected her win rate, and it did go up quite a bit. As they said, it's a bit higher at lower tiers, and in Masters and above, it kind of reaches its bottom at around a 47 to 46% win rate, which is pretty good compared to how she was before, and for a new character that's probably going to take more than just a week to get used to playing. And they've also noted that a lot of people seem to be sticking with new Sombra. As they said with other reworks, usually there's a massive spike as people try out the new character, and then the pick rate kind of falls off as people go back to playing their mains. But they've said a lot of people have been sticking with Sombra and that she hasn't really seen a massive drop off in pick rate yet, so this is kind of a good sign that a lot of people are sticking with new Sombra as their main, at least for now. They've also mentioned that the main things that they're looking into balancing more are the effectiveness of EMP, not really any sign of whether they mean making it better or worse, as well as the frequency of her cooldowns, which a lot of people have said it feels like new Sombra always has her cooldowns, so they might increase them by a little bit. I think Virus in particular being an ability that might see its cooldown be increased by a second or two. But yeah, going on to other changes, they've said that after the small nerf at the start of Season 7, they're in a kind of wait-and-see situation with Orisa. The mid-season patch will see a slight nerf to Bastion's assault form, and then of course the mid-season update patch will also include changes to support and quite a few others, and it will be roughly comparable in size to the balance patch we got at the start of Season 7. So yeah, excited that we'll actually be getting, you know, a decent amount of balance as opposed to nothing, especially when, you know, the start of Season 7, we didn't get that much aside from the new Sombra. Next up, talking about Halloween Terror, they said that it's one of their most popular events and that the first day that over 35% of all player hours were spent in the Halloween game modes, which is a lot and sees that it's a pretty successful game mode for the most part. But more importantly, they said we're talking about what an expanded version of this mode could look like, a way to get even more progression and player choice. And I say yes. I think if they expand upon, you know, the basis of the Halloween game mode and, you know, have actual different maps, maybe have maps be randomized to some degree, like actual dungeons with, you know, different upgrades instead of, you know, the same 4 every time, that could be a very, very fun replayable game mode for PvP. Like, that could be exactly what Overwatch PvP needs, is you have the story missions, which are more story focused and not super replayable, and then you'd have the kind of dungeon crawler-y inspired game mode with progressive upgrades and stuff like that. A lot more roguelike elements to keep it spicy and replayable. And you'd have those two game modes acting as the two primary functions of PvP, where the story mission is for the story, dungeon crawler-esque game mode is, you know, the replayable aspect of it. That could be a lot of fun. Another thing that Blizzard have said in the blog update is that they're going to be looking at both the Battle Pass as well as the current competitive system that is in the game, saying that these are two of the top priorities for the Overwatch team. We'll be detailing the direction of our reworked competitive mode at BlizzCon. However, we'll be talking about a new take on our Battle Pass and SOP changes a little later, most likely early next year. In the blog post, they say there is a bit of a controversy at the start of this season with the placement of our latest Moira skin in the Ultimate Battle Pass bundle. Some players felt like it was the best skin of the season and were upset that the only way to obtain the skin was to purchase one of our highest priced bundles. We do sell an Ultimate Battle Pass bundle every season with legendary skins in it, and will continue to do so. However, the lesson we're taking away from this moment is to make sure that we provide more ways to acquire some of our most popular skins. And I think that's fair. I think that's a good takeaway. In a lot of cases, it should be pretty clear which skins players are going to gravitate towards the most based on, you know, what hero it is, how cool the skins are, etc. So I'd say that's a pretty good sign that they'll do better in the future. One can only hope, at least. So yeah, that's it for the developer update, all my thoughts about it. Please like and subscribe for more Overwatch content. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the support on the channel recently. We recently got to 2.5k subscribers, which is a lot. I never would have expected that much support, so thank you. And until next time, see ya.